Today I want to look at Nslookup, what I'll call the ultimate DNS tool. This is week 3 of a 52-week series of short technical web-related videos covering tools, technologies, and tips of various types for the website administrator. My name is Scott Forsyth. Today I'm covering Nslookup, a tool for DNS troubleshooting. Occasionally you may have need to troubleshoot a domain name, whether you're moving from one location to another, all of a sudden something stops working, you've switched things around, whatever reason, you may need to do some DNS troubleshooting. For me, as working for a web host, OrcsWeb, we actually do a lot of DNS troubleshooting. People's domain names are expiring, their people are switching from one provider to another, they're moving over to us. Whatever it happens to be, we need to help them with that. And so today I want to show you some of these tools. In fact, just this morning I needed to use Nslookup. 6 of our monitors went off during our patching window as I was working on what seemed like unrelated things. And after doing a little bit of looking, I realized that their domain name had expired 2 days ago, and the propagation or the changes for that domain name had taken a while to push down to various different computers. So my computer recognized the change. Our monitoring server had just started to notice the failure for the domain name. So first thing we did, we made sure the customer was aware so they could address the domain name that had expired. We didn't manage it. They managed it. But in the meantime, I wanted to get their monitors working. I wanted to confirm that the servers were working, everything was good, so I needed something temporary, and that's where Nslookup came in. I was able to use Nslookup, query the various different domain names. They had a web farm. They needed domain names to check different nodes and different sites on those nodes. And with Nslookup, I was able to use that, update the host file that allowed me to temporarily map the name to IP address until they finished their changes that they had to do on their end. So let's take a look at what Nslookup is. First off, it's a free tool available. Most operating systems, Windows, Linux, various other operating systems have it. Network devices will usually have Nslookup as a tool. And it's completely free. It's available. There's no enable in it. It's just like the ping tool on your command line. And it's just right here. So you can use it in interactive mode. Notice if I hit Nslookup, and you can see the prompt has changed here. So I'm in it right now. I can hit exit to exit out again. So, and also you don't have to use it this way. I can use Nslookup, and you can see that you can get an answer by typing in directly without going into interactive mode. So it's completely up to you. So today I want to cover 3 main parts here. And first, what do you want to ask with Nslookup? Second, what do you want to ask about? And finally, who do you want to ask? So let's start off with what you want to ask. So if we start up Nslookup, type Nslookup, and let's do a simple query. For example, let's query orcsweb.com, and we can see what it's given us here is the A record for this name. And notice it's what's called a non-authoritative answer. That's because the server that we're currently using, this is what my current workstation is bound to right now, is the Google public DNS server 8.8.8.8. And so it says, I don't have the authoritative answer, but I'll find that answer for you. And so that's where it comes into play and what it's doing for us right here. We can see here that it's given us the address. We can hit various different addresses. Here's Microsoft.com. So what do you want to ask? Simply ask. Simply type it in, and it will give you the name. And for example, Microsoft's, we have 2 A records that are returned. Next thing I want to look at here is what do you want to ask about, and here's where you have a lot more flexibility. So notice the first query here was of a type A record. Last week's video we talked about the various different types, for example an A, an MX, a C, name. So the default was an A record, but actually let's change something different. Let's say set type equals to MX. And first let me show you how you can get the syntax yourself. Just hit a question mark. And you can hit, with the question mark here, it's a real nice, almost fits in one scroll window, worth of help here. And you can see a set, and here's the one I like to use often. Set type equals to whichever type. So again, set type equals MX. I'm going to call this MX mode right now. Everything we do after this point, unless we change this again, is for MX queries. So if we're going to look for Microsoft.com, notice they have one record. It's a preference 10, and the record is mail.messaging.microsoft.com. Again, let's hit OrcsWeb. Notice we do a little bit different here at OrcsWeb, and we have a priority 10, we have our mail filter, and then we have a backup mail filter of 20. And actually there's multiple on this 10 as well. And let's actually check VastNet, and we can see we use Google's mail server, and we can see the Alt1, various different servers that are entered. So you can see 3 different type of queries that give us information, advanced information about what people's DNS information is. That's available to you publicly on the internet, of course. Okay, so we can also, another one that's very useful is set type equals to NS. And this is for name servers. So now, especially during propagation issues or you switch from one registrar to another, you might want to query what the name server is. So let's try something again for orcsweb.com, and notice that the name servers are NS3 and NS4. Or fastnet.com, notice we have the my dying DNS, or actually let's do Microsoft.com, and you can see the 5 DNS servers that they use. So you can find any information that you want regarding their DNS or their name servers. Another query that you can do is what's called a reverse lookup, and this is for the pointer. Now I guess I have to set the type, so let's set type equals to, you can leave it as an A, or you can directly go as a PTR. Although the information is slightly different between an A and a pointer. So a pointer would be the better choice if you're specifically getting that information. So notice that for the A.A.A.A, that reverse lookup is a google.public DNS. And again, you can hit forward, set type equals to A, Google. Well, let's actually copy and paste this a bit faster. And we can see that the forward and the back reverse match each other. Okay, so we've covered what we want to do, and we can actually ask for various types of information. Now finally, here's where it gets a lot of fun, is who do we want to ask? So again, if we do set type equals to NS, and let's do orcsweb.com for example, and notice that the name servers are NS3, NS4. So what we do is if you type in server space, let's say NS4, and hit enter, what you have here is all the queries that we do from this point forward are directly against NS4. So you can actually pick a DNS server somewhere in the world. With Nslookup, you can actually do all your queries directly against that server. So this allows you to get authoritative answers. So watch. If I hit orcsweb.com, and let's do a set type equals to A, do that again. Now notice what it's done is it's given us the domain name. Notice it doesn't say non-authoritative answer this time. See, we're used to seeing that non-authoritative answer because this server actually has the answer for it. It didn't have to look it up for us. Also, it said, hey, I'm going to actually resolve that. In fact, watch this. We do set type equals to MX, and now we do orcsweb.com. Notice it's actually, because it's an authoritative answer, this is a server that owns this zone, one of the servers, it will not only resolve the name, it actually also resolves the IPs for those names for us. And we can actually see the mailfilter.orcsweb.com actually resolves to 2 different IPs for redundancy. So you may want to check and make sure that all the name servers are giving you the exact same information. And this is a way that you can do that. In fact, in today's situation that I was troubleshooting, I knew that the customer's DNS zone was on NS3. So I hit server ns3.orcsweb.com and I typed their domain.com, and actually it was something like node1. It was like site1.node1.theirdomain.com, and I was able to hit that, find out the address, and temporarily put in place. So very handy that way. So I want to take a look at a couple practical uses where you may want to find the Nslookup is very useful. And one is to make sure that your mail filter software is happy, your spam filters, or your mail server. You want to make sure that the forward zone, the forward address, and the reverse address match, as well as the name that's on the server. So let's take a look at, let's say, our orcsweb's mail filter. So let's say set type equals A, and I want to go to orcsweb.com. Actually, it's not orcsweb I want mail.orcsweb.com, and actually it's mail filter even .orcsweb.com, and you can see the reverse lookups. So now if I do 66.129.68.138, you can see the reverse answer for that is mail filter 3. And again, so it's kind of a little bit of a back and forth, almost 3 steps here, but now let's hit mail filter 3.orcsweb.com, and you can see that the reverse is 66.129.68.138. So that this here final answer matches the query that was given here. Likewise, this query here matches this. And so this allows the mail filter to be happy. And so at another time we'll look at a different tool that can confirm that the server itself is also answering the same. The next thing I want to look at real briefly is how do we traverse the internet name servers. So if we do set type equals to NS, interesting enough, many people don't realize this, but if you have a domain name, there's really an invisible dot, or maybe it's not invisible. You'll see in a lot of DNS tools it always adds it there for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to query the dot. the root servers. And here you go, you have your 13 global root servers. And we can now actually query right against it. So let's pick, okay, let's do root servers.net. And so now we have our K server. And now with this one here, let's find the next step, which would be .com, or actually com. And so now you can see it gives us an authoritative answer because these servers host it, and it gives us the K records for all the different name servers, and the IP addresses are resolved for us. So we have, it has 13 of its own for the .com. Or you could do a country one. I'm from Canada. Let's hit the Canadian one. So it actually gives us the authoritative answers for all the CA records. And so you have different servers all around the world here. So now what we can do is we can tunnel into that one. So now watch this. We're going to run into an error. But servers.ca, and notice it can't find the answer. The problem is right now we're tunneled into the root servers that will not do a recursive lookup for us. So what we need to do is we do a trick here. It's called an L server. And now we're going to do a.cctld.us. And what that L server is it will use my original name server on my computer to find that answer rather than the current one. So now let's try government.ca, for example, and it gives us the authoritative answer, DNS redirection. So there we have it. Nslookup, there's a lot to it. And actually, let me show you one more thing. And so if we hit question mark here, there's a couple other, notice the debugging. You can say set debug or set D2 even. So if you say set D2, and now you do something like org-web, I'm probably not going to get an answer here. No, so what we need to do is L server, and we're going to do ns3.orgsweb.com. Now to do orgsweb.com. And or you can say set no D2, and you can turn it off again. There is also an LS option available. But nowadays, you're not going to find that work very often. I'll show you why. So we can do ls for type A for orgsweb.com. And the reason this is not going to work anymore is zone transfers are turned off for most zones on the web now. We don't want to give the complete information for our zone to people that ask. If you want to ask for a particular record, we'll give you that answer. We're not going to give you our entire zone. So we don't allow zone transfers, and most zones on the web won't do that anymore. So for that reason, this ls to get all CNAMEs or all records of a particular type will not work for you anymore. However, it doesn't hurt to try, or at least be aware of what it is. There we go. Nslookup. Hope you found that useful. Hope you keep tuning in other weeks. Thank you.